Recently, I've been talking about unpredictability and uncertainty. And I was speaking recently about the unpredictability of the bounce of a rugby ball and other ideas like the perfect storm that you can't forecast. And I want to turn it over today because I think unpredictability isn't always the enemy. And I want to share a favorite story of mine about how a few wolves changed the rivers. In fact, there's a YouTube clip, and I think that's even what it's called. But the story goes for most of last century, Yellowstone National Park had no wolves. They'd been hunted out by the 1920s. And without them, the deer population swelled. And they grazed all of the valleys bare and stripped all the young trees along the water's edge. So the park slowly came apart, even though no single thing looked broken. Then in 1995, they brought the wolves back, a handful of them. And what happened next, nobody could have planned or predicted. The wolves thinned the deer, hunted them down, but more than that, they moved them. The deer stopped lingering in the open valleys and gorges, and the grasses and the willows grew back. Songbirds returned to the trees. Beavers came for the willow, and then the beavers built dams. The dams made homes for fish and otters and ducks. And then the strangest thing happened. The regrown banks held the soil, the erosion slowed down, and the course of the rivers themselves began to change. So a few wolves reshaped the geography of an entire landscape. Now, you could not have drawn that on a whiteboard, and no forecast would have ever found it. So using that analogy, if AI reshapes the size or shape of your workforce this year or next year, can you retain, or do you have people resourced enough to pivot into what's next rather than panicking through it? Because I think about this whenever a leader asks me what's one thing they should do to get ready for a decade coming that they can't predict. The wolves were simply a capability put back into a system that had lost it. Steady, reliable, and their effect rippled outward far beyond anything that they could plan for. So this is the good side of unpredictability. If you add the right element and it works for you in ways you never mapped and couldn't have mapped because they were ready to tackle what we can't see coming. And that's what Level Up does inside an organization. It develops a group of leaders who are calm and dependable under pressure, and then their steadiness spreads. Teams settle, trust builds, decisions get sharper a long way from where you started. You can feel the difference before you can actually even measure it, because you can't forecast the outcomes or even the cascade, but what you can do is put the right things into the system and just let it work. If you're wondering what that might look like in your organization, let's talk. And if you want to know more about the Level Up program before we chat, download my brochure on my website. It's called Burnout in the Age of AI. And as I said, jump onto YouTube and find that, click if you want to see wolves changing rivers. Thanks.